Hi, my name is Brendan Whelan. I'm an exercise and sports science student at the University of Central Queensland in Rockhampton. Today I'm going to talk to you about my paper on leg kinetics in landing from a height, a comparative analysis between dominant and non-dominant leg with shoes on and shoes off. Landing on a lower surface from a height is an essential part of movement in many of our daily activities, such as walking, stepping, high-risk sports, even military activities. Although studies have primarily looked at the ankle, we must also consider the hip and knee, as they too contribute to shock absorption via energy dissipation by the joint muscles. Ground reaction force of both feet has often been measured as a single quantity. However, other studies of ground reaction force of the dominant foot were adopted, ignoring that of the non-dominant foot. In this study, we look at both the dominant and non-dominant. Barefoot running or running in shoes, which is better for you? Do running shoes actually prevent any injury? Well, research has failed to confirm this, even though there is increased cushioning and support. The incidence of injury from running still remains high. There's even evidence to show that shoes actually weaken the foot. When we walk at a slow pace, 1.5 times our body weight is dissipated through our body with every step. As our speed increases, it goes up to 2.5 times our body weight. How this is calculated is when the ground reaction force is divided by our body weight in newtons. So, is it better to wear shoes or go barefoot? Do we land heavier on our dominant leg or on a non-dominant leg? These are questions that we need to ask. 21 healthy adults volunteered to this study, and they were of a mixed gender. Each one of the participants had no previous history of injury to the lower limb. The dominant leg was determined individually by asking which leg they would use to kick the ball as far as possible. The research was a randomized crossover design set to test 2 different conditions: shoes on and shoes off. We used an AMTI force plate, which was mounted into the laboratory floor. Beside that, we placed a 30 centimeter step beside the plate, not touching the plate, so there was no interference. How we decided which leg went first was randomly selected. What the participant did was select a piece of paper held by a tester, which was turned back to front. On the back of each paper was written either left or right. The participant selected, the piece of paper was turned around, and that was the foot they led with. Each participant was allowed 5 attempts to get the technique right, and also so we could avoid any misinformation. During the testing, there was 5 minutes between each subject to give the testers time to analyze the data and make sure everything was collected appropriately. Results came back as such, showing no significant difference between the dominant foot and non-dominant foot with shoes on and shoes off. How we came with this? We actually did a paired t-test using Microsoft Excel. P-value and significance was set at 0.05. Even though the results showed 50% was greater in the dominant foot in both conditions, there was no significant difference reported. This supports the alternate hypothesis, and it does not support the evidence that shoes provide more cushioning. Thus, the incidence of injuries from running remains high. Future research, we would use varied landings. Other studies have used both 30 centimeters and 60 centimeters. This could replicate playing different sports or landing from different heights. Also, we would use a full body composition as well as part of the demographics as a 3-site skimfold. We could also incorporate motion analysis on a single limb, taking account both dominant and non-dominant opposed to existing studies, where only the dominant limb was taken into account. In conclusion, there was no significant difference reported, which supports the incidence of injuries from running in shoes remain high. The practical implications is that there is no difference if you choose to run barefoot or in running shoes. And there is no correlation between dominant and non-dominant feet in landing. But when take time to adapt to barefoot running when changing from running shoes to avoid any injury. Here is a list of references in these slides. Thank you for listening. Questions? Please email me at brendan.whelan@cqmail.com.